when you buy into somebody telling you that you're dumb, that you're ADHD, you're hyperactive, that you can't concentrate, that is who you are, and you believe that, then the way you think you are is who you are gonna be, no matter what. Every vital organ in his body was stabbed. I don't have to feed into my negative, down, depression, anxiety thoughts. I can feed the positive, happy, encouraging thoughts, because you have them both. If you don't believe you can do it and you have any hesitation of that, you're not gonna do it. I promise you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen. I'm grateful that I'm alive today. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful I get to help kids. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for great people around me. We all have the capabilities, Tim. It's just that some refuse to see their own capabilities. Take accountability. It ain't about men, women, black, white, fucking any of that shit. It's about you. You have two options. You either become mentally strong or you kill yourself.
Hey, so Duran's here. I'm your host of a podcast for men. I have a special guest with me. This is somebody that I consider a mentor of mine. This is my coach, Joe Bish. In this podcast, we're going to talk about Joe's life. He's definitely been through a lot of shit. He also has a book coming out. Yeah. So we're going to get into that. And he's also a professional boxing coach, amateur and professional boxing coach. So he's going to shed light on a bunch of different topics, and I look forward to this conversation. We talk all the time anyway, so it's all good. Yeah. Coach, give a brief introduction about yourself.
Hey, man. First and foremost, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah.
It's an honor. It's a pleasure, man, to be on here and kind of tell my story and just talk with you, man. We do talk a lot, but I love every bit of it, man. So, you know, like you said, I'm a professional boxing coach. I was a professional athlete. I was a professional boxer myself and MMA fighter. And now I get to share my experiences and hopefully help the youth and younger guys overcome their problems and excel.
Yeah, let's get into that, man, because you said you've been fighting. You fought already before. How long have you been fighting? Like, when did you first start?
Man, I've been doing this probably off and on since I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. So I played every kind of sport, you know what I mean? I grew up playing. In fact, football was my passion. I mean, I wanted to be playing in the NFL. You know, but I did it all. I did football, wrestling, basketball, boxing. I mean, you name it, everything.
So out of the combat sports, I know you did MMA and you did boxing. What sport was like your main sport when it comes to between those two?
I think it was about even, you know what I mean? I did both. And so I moved to MMA, and I really didn't know. I wrestled in high school, so I had that wrestling background. But boxing was more what I was good at. Yeah. So I just got offered more money to do professional MMA, so I went into MMA and started fighting that. I really didn't know shit, but back then, jiu-jitsu wasn't big. People didn't know it like they do now. And I was able to just beat people up with my fists, you know what I mean? It was.
Yeah, I know you've been whooping people ass up with your fists, because you was telling me you was telling me about your bar stories. I seen your MMA highlights. Yeah. Somebody posted that on YouTube. Yeah. But you also told me about I told you about some of the shit that I'm going through and where my mind's been at. Yeah. And you was telling me like, hey man, I know all about that. I knocked a few cats out at the bars and all that shit. Yeah. You know, I know you talk about self-improvement a lot. Yeah. On your Instagram. You're always giving advice to young men about their thoughts, their mindset. Can you tell me about where your mind was at first, and then after you discuss where your mind was at and how you what made you actually improve your life and why you're helping men the way you are on your Instagram?
Well, that's kind of a long story, you know what I mean? It stems back from, you know, childhood. I mean, growing up here in Salt Lake, I grew up, you know, pretty much grew up here in Salt Lake. So when I grew up, I was involved in gangs, drug dealing, you know, from a young age. I mean, in fact, I did my first line of cocaine, knew how to weigh out cocaine at like 12 years old. You know what I mean? Selling marijuana, selling drugs, doing their gang banging. Got into that stuff at a young age. My dad was a very abusive guy. He was very, you know, hardcore OCD, you know, his way or the highway type of guy. Made me do every kind of sport, made me run every time. You know what I mean? He was very like hardcore, you know what I mean? Really pushed me into those things. Didn't really care about me being a gangbanger, drug dealer, anything. He only cared about what he cared about. You know what I mean? It was a weird kind of a thing. But growing up that way, you know, playing sports, I started playing football at like 8 years old. started doing almost every sport. My dad was very like that. He was like pushed me to do everything really hardcore, above and beyond what I did with my coaches and things like that. But I think I kind of rebelled like that. As a kid, I was always told that I was ADHD. I was the class clown. In fact, my 4th grade year in elementary, they put my desk in the hallway for the entire year because I was so disruptive. So my desk was literally outside the door of my 4th grade class, so I could only see the teacher, not the rest of the class.
That's crazy, man.
For the whole year. Yeah, they would never do that now, but they definitely did that then. And so I kind of gravitated. With that said, and I'm big about this. If you watch my Instagram, you've heard me talk about it, probably. The labels, man. The labels, not only that people give you, but the labels that you give yourself are real, and you will live up to those labels. Every single person does, whether they want to admit it or not. And I did. I mean, I definitely lived up to that. I was told that I was dumb, that I was a class clown, that I was ADHD, and I took that shit and ran with it all the way through high school, all the way through till I was like 30 years old.
Man, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, I got a similar story to you because when I from kindergarten to about 3rd grade, I was one of the best students in my class.
Yeah.
Once I hit 4th grade, it's like I stopped being cute. Yeah. And I was an athlete. I was known to be an athlete at that age. And for whatever reason, I had a horrible teacher that just was like, "You stupid. Yeah. You're not shit." And he made sure he did everything he could do to try to convince me of that. So he stopped teaching me. It was me and like a few other students. And he put us in on a table called Menace of Society. And he just would put us in the corner of the classroom and he would not teach us. Yeah. He would let us do whatever we wanted to do. So some people, they'd be flirting, playing with girls or cracking jokes, just doing dumb shit in the corner. Right. But I was always aware, like, this dude is trying to make us stupid. Yeah. He's trying to make us think less of ourselves. Mm-hmm. Even when I would do an exam, I'd be one of the first people done with my exam, and he would just reject it. I was handed to him. He'd say, "Oh, you're not smart enough to finish that fast. Go sit back down." He would say shit like that. Yeah. He also was physically abusive. Mm-hmm. There was a time he picked up me and my best friend at the time, Ezell Banks, picked us up, slammed us against the wall, and was like, I remember him holding on to us. And I was like, "I'm going to tell my dad. I'm going to tell my dad." And he's like, "I don't give a fuck if you tell your dad." And I told my dad, and he got fired. He lost his job after that. But ever since 4th grade, people have been telling me I was stupid all throughout college. Yeah. All throughout college. My boy actually told me a few months ago, he's like, "Man, I've been watching your podcast and you seem smarter." I always was smart. Yeah. It's just people, they try to put you in this box, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, some of my boys that was also at that table with me, they got caught up in the gang life. My best friend just got out of prison after 14, 15 years in December. And this, I think it had to do from when we were in grade school, how people were looking at us and making us feel about ourselves. And I think some of that got into his mind.
Well, I mean, that's definitely what happened to me. I mean, it's not even that the fact that somebody told me I was dumb, ADHD, I was a class clown and stuff. It was that I believed it. I mean, in my opinion, everything is with thought. So you are what you think you are, no matter what. But when you buy into somebody telling you that you're dumb, that you're ADHD, you're hyperactive, that you can't concentrate, that is who you are, and you believe that, then the way you think you are is who you are gonna be, no matter what. And I'm a big proponent of thoughts, and I think that's what happened to me, and that's what made me get into the gang life, because a lot of my friends at that time, same situation, same thing. They sold themselves on that they were dumb. This is the only way we could do it. And I mean, I grew up poor. I mean, so when I got into gangs and things like that, there was drug dealing, there was money. You know what I mean? So it's like, I was tired of eating mac and cheese. I wanted to be rich. You know what I mean? The money always has been a motivator in my life, in many ways, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more. But that's what got me into a lot of trouble. And I had a lot of my best friends are dead, murdered. In fact, one of my best friends got stabbed 52 times right in front of me and died. He was an athlete, had full ride scholarships. He wasn't even a gangbanger. He was one of my best friend's older brothers. But a lot of people, man, a lot of shootouts, man.
How did that happen? How did he get killed? Like, why did he get killed, man?
Well, in fact, it was crazy because it was his birthday and we were roasting pigs in the backyard. had a couple kegs we were drinking,
Yeah.
and this girl brought over these guys that we didn't know. And he liked to fight, don't get me wrong. He liked to fight. He liked to throw his hands. But he wasn't a gangbanger, but he liked to fight. And so he asked him to leave. And so he was walking him out. And I'll never forget this story because it was crazy, but and it haunts me a little bit to this day. But he I think they got in an altercation. None of us knew we were in the backyard, but he got in an altercation and this guy stabbed us 52 times. Every vital organ in his body was stabbed. And he was, like I said, full ride scholarships, football, big D1 schools, everything. He was really good. And what happened is we found him laying over a fence and he was practically dead. I mean, he was still breathing, but he ended up dying. I mean, there's no way he was going to live like that. But that's just one thing, man. I saw that my entire life growing up here in Utah.
And who was the girl that brought these dudes over? Was it his woman?
I can't even remember. I think it was somebody we knew, but this was so
y'all was young too.
Yeah,
so it's just like one of those parties you just be like, I do that. When I was young, you just hang out with everybody. Yeah. So, everybody's invited and they bring other people.
Yeah, and the crazy part about that was the third time he got stabbed. He had gotten stabbed with me once before at a party where I took him to the hospital, almost cut off his arm. But we just were like that, man. We were fighting every weekend, man. It was just so crazy. And to answer your original question, what changed me was I went to prison. You know what I mean? And I was in solitary confinement for a long time, over a year. I was in solitary confinement, the hole, the shoe, whatever you want to call it. Most people aren't in there that long, over a year. Most people get out there, but in Utah, they go by points, and my points were so high because I had so many charges and violent charges and things like that, that they kept me in there. And when you're locked in a 10 by 10 cell for 23 and a half hours a day with nothing, no cellmate, no nothing in there, two things are going to happen. You're either going to get real strong-minded, you're going to learn how to control your thoughts and be aware of your thoughts, or you're going to commit suicide. And I saw both. I saw probably in the first 6 months I was in solitary confinement, I watched 11 people commit suicide.
Oh, shit.
But I had an experience in there that changed my life to this day. It was, I don't know what you want to call it because it sounds a little crazy, whether it was a dream or a vision or something to where, and this is where everything changed for me, completely changed for me. It completely helped me change other people. And I teach people this to this day worldwide, Canada, England. I have people that I talk to all the time that do this. But I had a dream one night in my cell in solitary confinement. I woke up soaking wet. Okay, I woke up in a panic, soaking wet. And in this dream, it was like a vision, a dream. It sounds weird, but it just is what it is. Of somebody telling me that I needed to write down my thoughts, write down every single thought I had, negative, positive. It didn't matter what the thought was, dumb thought, funny thought, whatever. Just start writing them down on pieces of paper. And the dream or whatever it was so real to me that I started doing it. I mean, I'm in a cell. I got 23 and a half hours. I'm just sitting there. So I start just writing down. I mean, I had paper stacked up so high, it's not even funny. I didn't even know what I was doing at the time. I just started writing shit down. But about 2 weeks after I started doing that in the cell, all of a sudden it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like, okay, I'm aware of my thoughts. Like, I know every single thought that's happening right now I'm not writing anything down, just sitting there. I was like, okay, I'm thinking that I'm never going to get out of here. But I'm also thinking when I get out of here, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? I started realizing that I don't just have negative thoughts, that I have positive thoughts at the same time as the negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to put those and compartmentalize them and look at them different. And what it ultimately taught me, and I still use it to this day, is that I don't have to feed into my negative, down, depression, anxiety thoughts. I can feed the positive, happy, encouraging thoughts because you have them both. I mean, we have thousands of thoughts every second that's going through your head, you know what I mean? But it's just easier to listen to the negative thoughts because you're not aware of all of them, right?
Yeah.
And so it changed my life, man. To this day, since I got out of prison, I've never had a truly bad day.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, never have had, I might have some bad moments in that day, but I'm able to, the power of my thoughts and how I think overcomes it. And people are always like, oh yeah, it's easier said than done. But here's the problem. It's ignorance, man. People, this goes with relationships, everything, because in my opinion, okay, and I've been through a lot, man, in my life, tons, man. I've been, I got 2 babies' moms, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've been divorced, you know what I mean? I've been through so much shit. It's crazy. I've been through more shit than most people will at 45 years of my life. But it's like the ignorance of people about their brain and their thoughts it blows me away, because it's like, how do you think you talk? How do you think you eat? How do you think you walk? How do you think you move your fingers? Everything in your life is completely controlled by your brain, your thoughts. Your thoughts are what control your emotions. Your emotions will control your actions and what you do, whether it's good, bad, ugly, crying, whatever it might be. It all starts from a thought that comes from your brain, just like your brain tells you to walk, talk, eat, spit, whatever it is.
Mm.
So I feel like the ignorance of that is crazy, man. It's like, how come people don't understand that the brain is the most powerful thing? And I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't either, but it's powerful, and I preach it,
Yeah.
at the gym, you know what I mean? I preach it 24/7,
Yeah.
and I know it's changed people's life if they're willing to do it. Some people are just okay being the way they are, and I hate that phrase when people are like, hey, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
Bullshit. That's just who you choose to be right now. There's one thing I know in life. It's always going to change.
Yeah.
From the day you're born to the day you die. Whether you think that or not, it's still going to change.
Yeah. I've read in some of these self-improvement books that I read, I've read that most people don't change or learn until they really go through some shit.
Yeah.
Like, you have to hit rock bottom. There has to be some negative event in your life where you're just like, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think until you have that moment, most people, they're not going to be awake. They're not going to be aware of how their thoughts and feelings and emotions is actually governing their life. It's affecting their relationships. It's affecting the amount of money they make. It's affecting how they accomplish their goals, or if they even pursue their goals. You know what I'm saying? Right. If they can even lose weight. You feel me? Somebody asked me before in a podcast that I had. It's all good. Take your time. Take your time. Go ahead, Coach. No, turn it off. Okay. So, yeah, this guy, he had told me, he had me on this podcast.
Yeah.
And he asked me, and he was a bigger dude. He asked me, well, what would you say to people who don't have that kind of discipline to lose the weight? Like, what things can they do? And I said, honestly, man, it's like a spiritual transformation. I was like, I'm not the same person I was when I was 50 pounds heavier. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a completely different person, because as long as you hold on to who you were before and the things associated with that, you're never going to lose the weight. You're going to lose a little bit of pounds, but you're going to stay there. But you have to like really say, fuck this. I'm not going to be like this no fucking more. You've seen me since I've been small, and I've lost more weight since you last saw me. Yeah. But I used to be way bigger. But until you go through that, you're not aware that the food you eat and the weight that you have and all that shit, how it impacts your thinking. You know what I'm saying? People just don't have that. Most people won't have that experience.
Well, most people don't understand the thinking comes first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The thinking comes first. You're not going to change it unless you change the way you think first and foremost. It's like, and I see it over and over again. I saw it with myself. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, when I'm sold on this is who I am, and I continually remind myself who I am, I'm a gangster, I'm a drug dealer, I'm anything. I'm going to live up to that, man. So what you tell yourself will be reality. It's absolutely the truth. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it's like, in fact, it's funny because I used to own a gym in Rexburg, Idaho, and I was on The Biggest Loser. I was actually the nutrition side of The Biggest Loser. I used to work with a guy named Mark McDonald. It was called the Body Challenge, and we used to help diabetics get off of insulin. So type 2 diabetics, we would teach them blood sugar stabilization and how that can fix the diabetes, get you off insulin, metformin, all those things. But with that said, I worked with a lady that was like 580 pounds, and to this day she's about 180 pounds. But for a month or two, she wouldn't lose any weight. And it wasn't because she was not following a diet or doing anything to those. It's because she didn't believe she could.
No.
It was the trauma that happened in her life and overcoming the trauma and believing that she could lose the weight. It had nothing to do with food. Everybody thinks that, right? Everybody thinks, well, you got to eat healthy. No, you first and foremost got to believe in anything that you do. If you don't believe you can do it and you have any hesitation of that, you're not going to do it. I promise you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to happen.
No, I feel you, man. I mean, I get that all the time, even with the things that I do now. You feel me? Because a lot of people, when they believe that they can't do something, they believe the people in their group can't do something. That's why they say crabs in the barrel. They try to bring you down. Yeah. But really what it is, they try to bring you down to their way of thinking. I was telling somebody that the other night. I was doing the IG Live, and we were talking about how, I guess, past relationships and how people weren't good for them and how people can screw you over, all this stuff. And I shared a story with him. I told him like about my best friend growing up. Known him since I was 6 years old. Out of all the men in our group, he was the most positive man. He was jacked. I was drinking when I was like 12 years old. We used to bring it to class and be drinking in class. He didn't drink, you know what I'm saying? He was always solid. And I admired that about him. He didn't know it, but he was one of the people that made me, like I always had these goals for myself. And I was like, man, I got these big goals, but I'm drinking and shit. I'm not doing the right things I need to do. So I slowly waned off of that. Yeah. You know, then fast forward, when we were about 26, he was drinking. He was out of shape. You know what I'm saying? I had never seen him like that, but I do know his story. He had went through some issues with a relationship. He was a nice guy, invited the wrong woman into his life, didn't get rid of her soon enough, and she got him caught up in the system and abusing him and pulling his hair out his head, all kinds of shit like that, man. And it's not just what happens to you physically and like outwardly that you can see. Yeah. Like that relationship was bringing him down mentally. And then after that, you know, he was drinking more and then he's back in the hood. He's around people who are about hood shit. You know what I'm saying? So when he saw me, one day he saw me actually dressed up the way I am now. I had these exact shoes on. Yeah. And I remember him looking at my shoes and just looking at the way I carried myself. And he's like, man, you know, you changed. You know what I'm saying? And we never spoke after that. He was jealous of me, you know what I'm saying? And I called him because I went to go visit him in prison one time before. Right. Well, I went to go visit him before, and then he was my boy. And then I thought we was going to be boys forever. Then it just happened when he got out, he saw the way I was, and I guess it just made him feel some type of way. But my point is, I was telling this guy this story, and I was like, man, this guy that I admired, I promise you, he was more mature and he was a better man than I was when I was younger. And I told myself, if he can go from a light side to a dark side like that, that same shit can happen to me. So I said, don't judge the people. Make sure you check yourself and check your own thoughts, because you can be in the same position.
Well, and that's one of the biggest things I did. You know, my dad, just to give you a little underlying story of crazy. I mean, in this book that I'm writing, and it should be out in June, it's called The Roller Coaster of Life and the Power of Your Thinking. You know what I mean? So that's what the book is named, and it's getting published by some big publishers. It's going to be a cool book. But my life really, truly has been a roller coaster. I've done successful things. I started a business at 20 years old that I sold on the stock market, didn't know what I was doing, did all the IPOs for 2 years so I could take it live on the stock market, ended up selling the shell of the company to strongman competition, made a bunch of money, lost it all. I've done this like 3 times. I started a marketing company where I made $12 million a year, had 80 employees, lost it all because I got involved in addiction myself, became addicted to drugs, all that stuff, man. But to kind of rewind a little bit, in my high school years, my sophomore year of high school, my dad went to prison, right? But not only did he go to prison, he faked his death. He had left a suicide tape in my car, faked his death. We all thought he was dead for a long time. We lost literally everything because he had forged all our names, my mom's name, everything. We became homeless literally in a week. Didn't have anywhere to stay. All our cars got taken away, everything. They ended up finding my dad later working somewhere in St. George. Like, he was gone. Went to Vegas, St. George, all over the place. They ended up finding him. So we almost even had a funeral and stuff. I mean, it was crazy. It's a crazy story, right? Yeah. I go more into detail in the book about it, but this happened while I was in high school, right? And so for years, man, I would blame things that happened in my life for And knowing that I'm really doing the shit, but I would justify the bad shit I did because of the bad shit that happened to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I don't do that now. I don't blame my dad anything. I've forgiven him. I've done all this stuff. And me and my dad had a rough fist fight. I mean, it was abusive, man. My dad punched me in my face, gave me a black eye at 6 years old. Hard. Like that shit would never go nowadays. You know what I mean? You'd be arrested. But our relationship was never good. And I think he tried, but my dad was really, really mentally ill. I think, you know what I mean? Like truly mentally ill. Like he was so bad that if he came home and we didn't do chores or vacuum the carpet with perfect lines in the carpet, he'd fucking beat your ass. It was like, it was crazy like that. But going through that process and going to prison and finally realizing that I have full control of my life and that my thoughts are what make that control, it was life-changing, man. And that's why I'm writing this book. The book isn't about really my trials and tribulations. It's about that you're able to do anything. I mean, I've made tons of money. I've lost it all. I've been homeless. I've been a drug dealer. I've been to prison. I've been to all those things. But now, if you ask me who I am, I feel like I'm the best person in the world. I feel like I know how to control my thoughts. I know how to help you overcome your thoughts. I know how to do those things, and it was life-changing. Prison was the best thing, even though it's the scariest place I've ever been, and you're literally sleeping with one eye open, and you can die very easily in there. It's a whole nother world, and it's scary.
Let's talk about that. I want to know, because I want to know, how was your experience in prison? I wanted to ask John this, but I forgot. But real talk, like, what is it really like being in prison?
It's the worst place I've ever been. By a long shot. I'd have nightmares about that place, man.
Okay.
Nightmares. I mean, it is truly a whole nother world that no one knows about. You don't hear about the people that died in there. You don't hear about the abuse from the police. You don't hear about, I mean, gosh, you see all this stuff with BLM and what's going on in the world now. God, if they really knew what happened in prison, shit, it'd be a riot times 10,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really bad in there. And you're literally, it's life and death every day you're in there. It don't matter how tough you are. Don't matter how good you are at fighting. Doesn't matter how smart you are. The littlest guy will take your life in 10 seconds. I mean, it's a scary place, man. And you know, I work with the youth, troubled youth. I work at a school with troubled youth, and you know, boxing obviously brings in that type of crowd too. And I have kids. I'm not scared to go to prison. I'm ready to go there. I thought the same way. And I was crying my eyes out when I first went to prison, man. It was a scary place, dude.
Yeah.
It's a real scary place.
I was watching the podcast, and I don't know the guy's name, but he was talking about prison. And it was an OG. And he was talking about how bad the kids get treated when they go. And it's an 18, 19-year-old that go to prison, and they in there with those 28-year-olds or 30-year-olds. It's like they just make them as bitch.
Oh, they do. You'll be cleaning I mean, it is truly the survival of the fittest. If you give 1 inch, they're going to take a mile. It's so crazy in there. I mean, it literally is a whole different world and lifestyle. And if you don't learn how to live that and use that lifestyle and stand up for yourself, you'll probably die or really bad shit will happen to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that goes for any prison. I don't care where anybody is. To me, and prison doesn't change a lot of people, man. I have a lot of friends, really close friends I grew up with that did 10, 12 years in prison, got out and went right back in, right? They became institutionalized. They didn't try to change, you know what I mean? They didn't think they could change. They get out and they're like, I can't get a job. I can't do this. This is who I am. Again, they get stuck in that mind frame of this is who I am. I fucking hate that statement, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not. You are who you want to be, and most of all, who you think you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know this for a fact. And so having that experience in there, being in solitary confinement, really saved me, man. It really changed my life. I'm a better father, brother, son, coach, everything that comes with it because of that experience. And look at, man, if you go to my Instagram, people are like, oh, yeah. There's a million people that preach this shit. You know what I mean? Motivational speakers, stuff that I live this shit. Anybody that knows me, I live it 24/7. I bust my ass every single day. I work out every single day. I put myself through hell every single day. I write down my thoughts still to this day. I mean, I know I have a post somewhere on my Instagram where I'm showing notebooks. I probably have 200 notebooks full of random things written down that are just thoughts that I write down. I live this shit every day because I never want to go back and go through the shit that I already went through. You know what I mean? There's no reason for it. My life now is happy. It's different. And people say, oh, happiness is a myth. No, it's not. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah, happiness is real and it's there. You just are thinking too negative. You're living up to the labels you're giving your fucking self. That's the real deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what you think of yourself and what you think you can accomplish will become reality. And goes vice versa, back the other way too.
No, my dad was telling me this because he was in prison.
Yeah.
And he basically had to say, he basically said what you just said, is that can't nobody tell him shit. He hate hearing those sob stories about, oh, I can't do it because of this and all this shit. He's like, man, I went through so much shit to clean up my record, to go to school. He don't got the fanciest fucking job, but he got a job that he's happy at. You know what I'm saying? He's a manager now at a grocery store. You feel me? And that's what he told me. He said it's all about your thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you get out, what is your purpose? And I think that's really what's missing. I think a lot of people just don't have a purpose. They don't know what they want to do. So they got out of prison. They just like, what do I do? You feel me?
Well, I think a lot of people do that in general. I'm glad you brought that up because I think, when I was a kid too, when I don't care who it is, in elementary school, they're like, write down what you want to be when you grow up. People are like doctor, lawyer, fireman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then everybody says that shit, but they don't really know.
Yeah.
But how you figure out your purpose, like right now, I'm 45 years old. And in the last 8 years, it's the first time in my life that I really truly believe I'm doing my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I fully believe it, that what I do now is my purpose. It is my passion. And how I found that out was by writing down my thoughts, by knowing what I want to do, what makes me feel good, what changes my thought patterns, what makes me believe that I can do that or help or change somebody's life. And there's a lot of things that go into that. If one's blaming, man, you can't blame other people, man. You can't blame anybody but yourself, okay? Even if you've been through the worst shit in the world, man. Because all blaming does, when you think and blame, it puts you right back there. It puts you back in the past. It puts you back in that scenario. Mentally, subconsciously, it puts you back there. So again, you're living in your past by blaming. You're not getting out of the hole. You're digging yourself halfway out and falling back down because you place blame on somebody else. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah. Because I've done it. I caught myself thinking about things that happened years ago, you know what I'm saying? Things that were painful. And most of the time I'll be good throughout the day, but all of a sudden it's pop in my head and I'll freeze and be like, man, fuck. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think, put it like this, I know I'm not the only one that does that. Mm-hmm. I think just being aware that you have those types of thoughts, and you know where they're coming from, that's more than enough. 'Cause at least you know how to manage those thoughts.
That's everything. I mean, I feel like the awareness of thoughts is everything, because here's the problem though. It's like very easy to get stuck in negativity and negative thoughts. So when you have a negative thought, you start building upon that negative thought. So it's like, oh shit, I got court today. What if I go to jail? What if I get a ticket? What if they fine me $300? And it builds and builds and builds, right? So now you're not aware. At the same time of having those thoughts though, you're having positive thoughts. You just aren't aware of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have many thoughts at the same time. It's not like you're only thinking about that shit. You have other thoughts. You're just not aware of those thoughts because you're allowed. So the trick to that is being aware that, okay, I'm going down that rabbit hole. Okay, and here's something that I do, and it might sound silly, but it gets me out of that rabbit hole. And I'm able to do this now because I practice this shit. Still to this day, every day I practice it. You know what I mean? I like who I am today. I like what I'm doing today. You know what I mean? So I don't want to go back there. So why would I stop something that has helped me get out of that shit? You know what I mean? So I keep doing it. I practice what I preach 1000%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what I do, and I even do this driving, sometimes I'll find myself getting into negative thinking, negative thoughts, depression, anxiety, sad thoughts, whatever it is. I'll pull over and I take my hands, I call them my gratitude fingers, right? And I literally stop. Whether it takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I go, I'm grateful that I'm alive today. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful I get to help kids. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for great people around me. And I go all 10 fingers, and instantly my mind starts switching to different thought patterns. And I recommend it to a lot of people because it does work, man. And if I have to do that 1,000 times a day, I do it 1,000 times a day.
Man, I'm just letting that suck in.
Yeah.
That's some powerful shit, coach.
Yeah, man. It's life changing.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to put that out there. That's a great message. I think I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it does. It's once you really, I've done this, I don't know how I've gotten out of that thought process, but I've done it multiple times. Usually what I'll do is I'll turn on the book, this book called The Sea of the Soul.
Yeah.
I'll just put it on the audiobook and just listen to it. And it changes my whole vibe. Like I can feel it through my body that it just changes. But I think yours is a real good method as well.
Oh, yeah. It's just that, you know, a lot of people think you get stuck in, I used to think like this, you get stuck in, why me? Why is this shit happen to me? Why did I get the divorce? I'm never going to love anybody again. And this is a relationship. I've been there, man. For some relationships totally destroyed me, you know, at times. Mm-hmm. When I look back at it, that would never happen now to me. Just the way I think is different.
Yeah.
But, you get stuck in that. If you allow yourself to get stuck there too long, it's really hard to get out of it. But if you stop it right when it starts, it helps. And here's the thing. I don't care how bad your life is, where you live, how fucked up it is, how sick you are, every single human being that's alive on this earth today has something they're grateful for.
Yeah. No
matter your situation. So choose to build upon those thoughts. And I promise you, your life's going to be different. I promise you, but you have to do it 1,000 times a day, 10,000 times a day. Look at, unless you like being that way, okay, try to do something different. Look, I don't know everything. I still have a lot of shit going on. I still have to overcome stuff every day, right? I still have bad shit that happens, but the way that bad shit affects me is way different than it used to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It doesn't take me down, nor will it, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel you.
Yeah.
You got a vision. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's like you said, you're really living in your purpose now. So it's like, now that you know who you are, nothing can knock you off your balance.
Well, here's a story. And this one, I'm an avid fly fisherman. I know it sounds weird. A lot of people are like,
I didn't know that. Yeah. It's fucking difficult. I know that. Fly fishing.
People are like, what? You fly fish? You're, ex-gang member, dude, went to prison. They're like, you're a boxer.
Coach, I do, look at, you talking to me. Yeah. I do a lot of shit. Yeah. There's a lot of things I do, and I know you know that I do a lot of shit. Yeah. So I believe you, man. Yeah. You feel me?
So let me give you an example of how thoughts, and this, sometimes this makes sense to people. So when I'm fly fishing entails a lot of things. You're constantly whipping the fly, you're putting it on the water, you have to watch the fly come down the water. When I'm doing this and I'm in the water fly fishing, guess where my thought is on fly fishing? Guess what? No other thoughts are there. Because I'm so concentrated on watching the fly, getting the perfect cast, waiting for the fish to come up, and I'm so zeroed into that, there is no possible way I can feel anxiety, depression, negativity, right?
Yeah.
Because of what I'm doing, right? The same thing goes to having goals, okay, and values as a person. And that word goals is thrown out there a lot because people are like, sure, I got goals. No, you don't. You don't really fucking got goals. If you really got fucking goals, you wouldn't be crying and being depressed and anxiety. Just like my analogy with the fly fishing, if your goals, if you're so hyper-focused on accomplishing your goals, and you have the ability to accomplish those goals, and you are focused and you refocus 1,000 times a day towards your goals and the person you want to be, It's a barrier. It's a barrier that stops anxiety, depression, negativity. It cannot get through if you are hyper-focused on your goals, the values of who you want to be, and you remind yourself 1,000 times a day, you won't be sad. Yeah. But it takes real fucking goals, okay? Little goals. I have a million different goals, right? Yeah. I have long-term goals, I have short-term goals, I have all those things. And I'm always thinking about it. And guess what? I don't have bad days. Like I said, I might have bad moments, but I get out of them. I get out of them because I refocus. I get back to my goals. I get back to the values of who I want to be. Yeah.
I love that force field analogy.
Yeah.
Because that's real talk.
Real talk.
It is. It's like, it reminds me of the Fantastic Four, that woman. You know, she can I don't know what the hell she got, with her mind, she can basically create. Oh, that's so weird that it works that way. Because you're just saying, when you focus on your goals, your thoughts are so focused that nothing can penetrate you. And it just so happens that woman, her superpower is her thoughts. Yeah. She can, with her thinking, she can create a barrier.
Exactly. I feel like I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I know I can. It's not that I think I can. I know I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's, and you know, I worked with some John Bryant.
Yeah.
You know, the best boxer I've ever seen in my life, man. This kid has every opportunity to be a world champion. He is the best boxer I've ever seen. He's a good dude.
He's getting better too. Oh, he's not even at his prime yet. You know what I'm saying? No. He don't know it.
The guy's incredible. He's a world champion.
Yeah.
Unless he fucks it up.
Unless he get in his head.
Yeah.
I won't let that happen. If you're around me, I won't let that happen.
He knows I won't either. I remind him every day. But this is the thing. It's like, and this is where I get frustrated with a lot of kids. It's like, dude, everybody has that ability. We all have greatness in us. And I know that's a fucking cliche too. And everybody says that.
But it's the truth.
But no, it really is. We all have the capabilities, dude. It's just that some refuse to see their own capabilities. I was guilty of that forever. You know why? Because I was told I was a class clown. I was ADHD. I was never going to do anything. I was voted most likely to go to prison in high school, dude, in my yearbook.
Yeah.
Okay. Which came to fruition. Imagine that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I believed it. Whatever you believe, you will achieve, man. No matter how hard it is, dude. If it means enough to you, you're going to accomplish it. But let me tell you one thing I do know for sure about life is that it is constantly going to try to take you down. It's constantly going to try to take you off track, whether that's and relationships a big part of that.
Yeah.
You allow relationships because you're in love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. You allow those to take you away from your dreams, your goals, things like that. If you're in a right relationship, they're not going to take you away from your goals. They're going to push you towards it. Okay.
Yeah.
No matter how you feel. So the biggest distraction in life is what you allow to happen to your life. Okay. It's like, okay, so, you know, I listen to Jordan Peterson. I read a ton of books. A lot of self-help, man. I listen to everybody there is out there in the world. And something that I do know to be true is that don't do the shit that you know is wrong.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a relationship or no, if you know it's taking you away from your goals, don't do that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you know you're going to hurt somebody's feelings, don't do that shit. If you know that missing practice is going to take you away from making millions of dollars and being a world champion, don't do that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, this all comes to about awareness, man. It's like, man, why are you sabotaging yourself? You're sitting there on your phone talking to 10 different girls and doing this shit. And that's distracting you from what your goals. You should be thinking about making millions of dollars, becoming a world champion, doing things like that. You know what I mean? It's like, but it took me a lot of years. So I get it.
Yeah.
But my goal, my purpose is to help as many people as possible change the way they think and really believe in what they can and the power of their thinking. I'm telling you, man, the most successful people I've met in my life and read about do that. Their thinking is different. They think different, man. They think different about themselves and they think different about their capabilities. Bottom line.
I remember you saying that about great fighters.
Yeah.
The great fighters, their thinking is just on a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was telling somebody, like these last this last month, I've always been focused, but this last month, I feel like I've been like bullet focused. You know what I'm saying? Like laser focused on what I'm doing, man. Because I can easily get distracted. I got shit going on. I got people that love me that are calling me that are distracting me, trying to distract me, and it's all about drama. You know what I'm saying? Like I was telling you, it's people hitting you up more on social media, all this. I see it. I can see the distraction for what it is. And I know, like, oh, this isn't going to help me get where I need to get. Yeah. I'm trying to fucking be rich as fuck 2023.
Yes.
That's my goal. Live life on my own, by my own terms. You know what I'm saying? This whole year.
I'll tell you what. I believe you'll do it.
Yeah.
In fact, I know it. I see it in your soul, man.
Yeah.
I see it. I think you'll do it. And I believe that, man. And I like your motivation. I like how you do that. And you know what, that goes back to what I was saying. Life's going to continue to try to break you down. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People in your life are going to continue to break you down. But this is why having goals and I talk to people all over the world. I talk to people that cry to me all the time that their problems at the gym. Mm-hmm. I mean, I work with tons of kids. I've had kids try to kill themselves. I've taken guns out of their hands. Yeah. Right? Literally about to shoot their head off. I talk to people that have the same drama every day. You know what I mean? And it affects me too. But I can talk to them, listen to them, help them overcome their thoughts, remind them of who they are and what they can accomplish and what they're grateful for. And then I can go back right after talking to them. And instead of letting it affect me emotionally, I go right back to who I want to be, what my goals are. And I have to do it to myself too, to reprogram.
It's funny that you do that, man, because I became aware and I didn't do that. I wish I had somebody to tell me that, because I actually stopped putting myself around people who are downers or whatnot, because they want to talk to me about their problems. And then over time, it would just bring me down. And, you know what I'm saying? I would let it bring me down, but I had nobody else to tell me like, hey, now you have to refocus. Don't let that shit get in the way of you being who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about your pops a little bit more, because you said your pops pushed you super hard. Yeah, he pushed you hard, and if you were to tell anybody else like, hey, my dad pushed me at all these sports, made me do this, they would say that was a good thing. Mm-hmm. What I want to know is, what's the difference between your dad teaching you how to work hard and your father being abusive?
The way I took it was abusive. You know what I mean? I didn't ever think he was pushing me hard. I didn't think it was about that. My dad was. First off, he was mentally ill. And I love my dad. And I came to peace with him right before he passed away. He had a massive heart attack and died right in front of us. In fact, me and my brother used to own a business together. And he died. We used to, after he got out of prison, my dad before prison and my dad after prison were two different people.
Who was better?
The after prison.
Okay.
By far. I mean, I think he had a time to reflect and be like, okay, man, I was fucked up. But he was still mentally ill. Mm-hmm. My dad was very OCD. He was very like hardcore. I mean, at 6 years old, my dad would make me every Saturday run mountains at 6 years old, like 5 miles up a mountain and back down the mountain. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want me. It made me want to quit half the time. It made me like, it was me versus him not being better at the sport. Yeah. So I don't teach that way. I don't push anybody into anything that they want. But if they're saying they want to be a world champion, then I'm going to push you to do world champion shit. If not, just be honest, man. And be like, no, I just want to do this here and there, be in shape and do this. You know what? Both are fine. But if you're going to make a commitment and do it. You know what I mean? But the relationship with my dad was, it caused a lot of problems in my life, man. And like I said, it caused me to blame and think that blaming was an okay thing. And I see it in this world right now, man. You can just jump on social media. I swear in about 10 seconds, you'll see somebody blaming something. Mm. You know what I mean? And it didn't do anything. When I accepted that I control my life and that I control my thoughts and the way I think, it changed everything for me. I had forgiveness for my dad instead of wanting to kill him. I tried to kill my dad one time. Yeah. We got in a big old fist fight when we got out of prison. I tried to choke him, and it got broken up, or I probably would have killed him. Yeah. I mean, it was that intense. It was our relationship was rocky, man. We grew up by fighting, my sisters, everything. And my dad was just an abusive guy, man.
Yeah.
It was like, it was real crazy. Did he help?
He didn't even look like it either. That's what's crazy.
No.
I saw a picture. Your pops didn't even look like he was like that.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
That's how you get away with stuff like that.
Well, back then the cops would come to our house. It wasn't the same. You know what I mean? They just were like, oh, okay. You
Whatever.
know, it wasn't the same. I mean,
Yeah.
this is back in like freaking, the 90s.
I know.
It was different. But he did instill, I can't lie, you know what I mean? He did instill hard work with me, dude, pushing it. And I do that now. We go to Highland, we run, I push it. I maybe push guys a little too far. I want to see how far they can go. But I do it out of love. And
you want people to win, Coach.
Yes.
You want people to succeed.
I do.
That's why I fuck with you. I told you
Yeah.
plenty of times I fuck with you because you're positive.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do what I'm doing with you for a long time.
Right.
I didn't find anybody else in my corner that wanted to see me be successful.
Yeah.
And I can see it's not just with me. I see it with everybody. And that's rare. You know what I'm saying? So I know that that's a special thing. So yeah.
Well, to me, that's the reward, man. That's the reward, man. It's not about me anymore in my life. And it was about me my whole life. That's why I was a gangbanger. That's why I was a drug dealer. That's why I thought it was cool. That was why I created business and make it rain. Dude, I had money and I could buy whatever I wanted. I thought that shit was fucking awesome. And it was about me. The second I got away from me and made it about other people and about this world is bigger than myself, my happiness changed a lot more too. So when I help a kid that wanted to kill himself, had a gun to his head, overcome and do things that he never thought were possible because he was told he couldn't do that shit his whole life, and he overcomes, and I see it, and I see him win, and I see him overcome, and I see him do things that he didn't think he could do. Shit, there ain't millions of dollars that could ever pay me to have that same feeling, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've done that with a lot of people, man. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to help people. And, sometimes it's frustrating because not everybody changes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want them so badly to do that, you know what I mean? It's like, I want people to succeed so bad because I'm in a way, I really am ADHD because I get so involved. When I was a fighter, let me just give you a story. Because you fought for me. I've been in your corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I fought, never was nervous. I mean, I'd have a little bit of nerves. I mean, I can't lie. I'd be a little.
Because you'd be thinking, because you're sitting there waiting for your fight. I hate sitting waiting for my fight.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be nervous, but I was never really that nervous, man. I like to fight. Grew up fighting my whole life, man. I've probably been in fucking 1,000 fights, street fights, whatever.
Yeah.
Fought for my life in prison. I mean, I was never really scared to fight. But if you watch me now in the corner with my kids, man, even the amateurs, man, I'm a wreck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, man, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, man, it's because what people don't see in the sport of boxing or any probably sport, it doesn't matter what it is, they don't see the everyday grind. They don't see the blood, sweat, and tears. They don't see the emotions. They just see the fun part, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't see the 2:00 conversations in the morning. You know what I mean? They don't see, getting somebody to believe in themselves. They don't see all that side, dude. You know what I mean? But me as a coach, I do. So I know what it took when we're getting there and we're about to walk in that fucking ring. It's like, bro, I want to jump over the ropes half the time. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy, man. But that's how passionate I am. I'm just a passionate person. But, you know what I mean? And I hope I make a difference.
Now you making a difference, man.
Yeah.
What did you think of me when I stepped into the gym? Because you gave me a fight like super soon. It was really quick after meeting me. What did you really think? Did you really want to see if I had the heart or if I was gonna punk out or whatever?
I think all of the above.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I believed in you because talking to you first and foremost.
Okay.
I mean, I see through the exterior.
Okay.
Of a lot of people. You always use the phrase that I see through you like Scott State, you know what I mean? But it's like, I feel like I have a real good ability because of what I've been through and all the different things I've seen in my life that I feel like in a 5-minute conversation with you, I know who you are.
Okay.
I knew you were an athlete. I knew you played football. I knew you had this, and I believed in what you said.
Okay.
So I said, let's go.
Yeah.
And guess what? You whooped that ass. It was like, it was awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. You did mess up your arm, but we're back. We're back in action, man.
I can't believe that happened, man.
No.
Off that fucking punch. I'm throwing harder punches than that. I was like, damn. But hey, that's how you learn, man.
Hey, it's about never giving up and getting back. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're better now than you ever have.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
You feel me? I mean, I'm still training. I'm still training, but it's like, damn, getting off the injury, I thought I would have to have catch up. I'm better than I was before I got hurt.
Yeah.
So, well, it was another thing I want to touch base on, because I want to talk about relationships, but before I get into that, because you spoke about the reason I asked you about your dad. This is called a podcast, man.
Yeah.
And the goal, from what I can see within like the American culture right now, is that a lot of men, they're missing like that mentorship from men. They're missing that male guidance. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you sharing your story about how you were able to forgive your father.
Yes.
How it not only just forgive your father, but you moved on to become a better person. I've had to do that as well. And that's something that I preach to like my siblings. I was like, hey man, you got to get over that, because I knew your father. He's not perfect, but he was a good man. You know what I'm saying? You share the same blood and maleness that your father has. You know what I'm saying? You're so immature right now that you just don't see it correctly. And I know a lot of men, a lot of young men are growing up hearing about how men ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? They're hearing that the fathers are basically evil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not true. Like in today's culture, you really can't be a real man without intimidating or scaring some people sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't want you to assert yourself.
But you can't worry about that.
Go ahead.
You know what I mean? Fuck them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, for real. It's like, I don't live my life at all, not even a little bit. I don't worry about what I fucking say, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't worry about if it's right, if it's this and that. No, man. I know my values. I know who I am. Okay? I know I'm a good person. I know what I do is good. Whether you want to accept that and I might say something wrong that wasn't right, then fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't give two shits if I don't say something right and some woman gets mad at me, dude. You know what I mean? I don't care. And that's because I control my life. My dad might have abused me as a kid. I might have went through that stuff, but I don't live there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't live there anymore. How long am I supposed to blame him for my life now? He's not even here. You know what I mean? It's like, for real. It's like, sometimes you have to have a reality check with your fucking self, man. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, sometimes you need to look in the mirror and say, okay, stop being a fucking pussy. Okay? Your dad doesn't control you now. Okay? My ex-wife doesn't control me now. My baby's mom doesn't control me now. I control me. I control my thoughts. I control how I want to approach that. If I want, and look at, speaking of this, and I don't know, I'm probably jumping all over.
No, I love it, man. I love you. You passionate. That's what I'm just listening.
I mean, my oldest daughter and her mom, we had the worst relationship, and I wish I would have done things different. I had to learn from this too. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, fuck this. I'm fighting you. We're going to fight in court. Guess what, man? $60,000 later, 18 times in court, nothing else has changed, man. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, we still fight about it. The difference now is I don't fight. Okay? I accept that you can sit there, call me names, tell me I'm a worthless piece of shit, that, you know what I mean? I'm a Disneyland dad, or all these things, right? Because this happens. I see it all the time. You're just a Disneyland dad. You know what I mean? You're this and that. It's like, okay, great. Your opinion is your opinion. It doesn't change mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nor will I allow that to change me, because you know what I do? I go back to my goals. I go back to my values. And that's the key one, the values right there. If you're really truly living to the values of who you are, then other people's opinion of you do not fucking matter. Even if you once loved that lady or you once loved that person, even if it's a kid that's involved. Look at, man, I always have believed that my daughters will be in my life. You know what I mean? No matter what happens, they'll know the truth. And I go with it and I believe it. I believe it 100%. And then I don't argue anymore. And I wish I would have learned this when I first broke up with my oldest daughter's mom. You know what I mean? Because I made it worse. Thinking I needed to fight, thinking I needed to talk shit back or defend my name and do all these stupid shit. It's dumb. You know what I mean? You look dumb doing that, and you know what it does to you? It ends up hurting you worse than it does them. Because you're not getting anywhere by doing that.
Yeah.
You're not. You know what I mean? All you're doing is affecting yourself. That goes about talking shit about anybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I fully believe that even if you have the thought, without even speaking it, of negative towards somebody, you even have a thought of that negativity towards somebody, that immediately has trained your subconscious mind to go in a negative way.
I believe it too.
Just from the thought.
You attract it.
It's like, why do you care about that person anyway? You know what I mean? Why? For what? What point do I have to do to talk shit about that? What? How's that helping me? It's taking me down the wrong rabbit hole of negativity. It just is not. I'm telling you right now, if you could really focus and focus on yourself and not other people, and you know what I mean, your thoughts and being aware of your thoughts, and you don't have to talk shit about other people. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna do more. You're gonna succeed more for sure.
Dang, man. I was just, there's a book called The Art of War. And it said once you get to the point where you stop caring about what other people think, that's when you become powerful.
Yeah.
Because you can move quicker, you can think faster, and you just have more of a force behind you, and people can see it.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy how that worked.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about your ex. I want to get into that.
Yeah.
You married your high school sweetheart, right?
I was married even younger than that. We dated since we were like 14 years old.
Okay.
And so we dated since we were 14, about, you know what I mean? And I went through some troubles, you know, jail, prison, things like that. She stuck with me for a long time. And then we were married for 7 years. I never had a kid with her.
Okay.
And we are still best friends to this day. Well, I won't say best friends. We're friends. You know what I mean? We get along. We never.
Yeah.
In fact, we got a divorce for like $150 online and went out.
So you never had a kid with this woman?
No.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Coach. Yeah. So why'd y'all get divorced, man? It seemed like that was one you should have been rocking with.
So look at this. Is such a crazy story. I mean, but it's the truth. I mean, we sat down one day, we were eating dinner, and we were like, you know what? We never dated anybody. How do we know this is right?
I feel you though, because you're young. You
never argue, never really think. She said, you know what? I think maybe if it's meant to be, we'll get back together. If not, you know what I mean? We'll always be friends. We got divorced. We literally went out to eat and had fun the night we got a divorce online.
Wow.
And we've been friends ever since. And since she's had a kid, she has a son that's a football player, a great kid,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, I had my 2 daughters and we still communicate. She was a hairstylist, still does my mom's hair, still does stuff like that, man. Still part of the family because we like grew up together.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I think it was worked out for the best because it was like, we were young. We didn't know, you know what I mean? We haven't been through life, man. You go through a lot of life, man. You know what I mean?
It's funny, before we start this podcast, I was telling you about the dude. I was talking about this dude. Oh, I was telling you about who helped me with this podcast.
Yeah.
And I said that, you know, you asked me about who designed it, who painted these walls. And I said, it was a woman that helped put together this podcast.
Yeah.
She helped with the design. She came up with the idea of these mountains and all this stuff. And she did the research and found the guy to actually put it together. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it was somebody who was in my corner, who was like in support of my mission. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't appreciate it. And I've had that same experience multiple times in other relationships. And it wasn't until I had a bad situation that I realized, like, what really mattered. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I did have a good thing. I just didn't know I had a good thing because I kept having good things. So I always was looking like, oh, maybe I can find something better. You feel me? But until you live life, you mature, you grow up, you become accountable. Can you look back and see, okay,
That's the key.
this is what I did wrong. This is what I could have did better. And this is what, this is what was going wrong in my life. And I can basically, you just know better.
Well, and that's the key, man. You said accountability. I think self-accountability. Like, you see all these people like women's rights, you see men doing this. It's manpower, you know what I mean? Men got to do. It's like, no, really, it's about self-accountability. It's like, it doesn't matter if a woman fucking hurts you. You allowed it to hurt you.
Exactly.
Okay? So at some point, you got to fucking take accountability for everything. It doesn't matter if my dad abused me. I still had accountability. You know what I mean? It didn't matter that my oldest daughter's mom one day just left and took my daughter and I wasn't able to see her for 2 fucking years. You know what I mean? That I had accountability. I could have done things different. It wasn't about her. It never was about her. It was about me. You know what I mean? What do I need to do to be a better father? What do I need to do to be a better man? Regardless of what the fuck she does to me or anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're living in that world, again, it goes back to blaming. You're blaming. Why? I fucked up because my ex took my daughter and fucked up and it made me go on a tailspin and blah, blah. Man, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Take accountability for yourself. You fucked up because you allowed that to fucking affect your brain, your thoughts, and what you were doing.
Yeah.
Take accountability. It ain't about men, woman, black, white, fucking any of that shit. It's about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when people figure that shit out, they'll do better. They'll do a lot better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah, I feel that, man.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your book a little bit. What is there anything that you can tell me within the book? Like, I know it's not done, but like, what's the craziest thing that you, one of the craziest passages within that book?
Oh, there's a lot of crazy shit in that book, man. And it's very realistic. In fact, I took pictures of a lot of things. Like, the story of my dad is probably pretty crazy. But my friend dying, stabbed.
How was it for your dad? Because you telling me how it is for you as a son experiencing your father. But do you know enough about your father before you were born? Like, how was it for your father growing up? You know what I'm saying?
I think it was tough for my father. Yeah, I've done a lot of research on that. You know what I mean? But my dad he only had a sister, and his dad was actually partners with Jimmy Hoffa. Was part of the Teamsters.
Yeah. The
trucking, Jimmy Hoffa and all that. I just posted a pin that I got signed by Jimmy Hoffa and Joe Hoffa. Yeah. That I just posted. That was from my grandfather. But my grandfather lied about his age at 16, joined the cavalry. Was hardcore kind of mafioso type of guy. You know what I mean? And I think he was real tough with my dad too. You know, my dad was the only son. And my dad treated me like that. I was the firstborn son, and to him that mattered. Yeah. You know what I mean? You were like the first son, you're the guy, you're supposed to do this. And it was like boom, 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 driven like that. You know what I mean? So I think he was treated that way. But I never thought of that until I got older and stopped blaming and stopped doing stuff like that to where I took accountability for myself. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a hard thing to explain, but yeah, I think my grandma was batshit crazy too, you know, his mom. Yeah. And so I think it was rough, you know what I mean? I think he grew up and... He
probably grew up with some abuse himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I believe that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't take that into accountability until I got older, until almost he passed away, you know what I mean? But in the book, I get into way more detail about everything in my life. The book goes through like school almost, so it's like grade school, junior high, high school, business years, prison, you know what I mean? To where I'm at now and how I learned to control my thoughts and how that's changed and what I can do for other people. The book's amazing, man. It's going to blow a lot of minds. In fact, when I sat down with the publishers and we sat down for like two hours and I explained to them and kind of read through it because I had written half of the book in prison. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I didn't even know why I was writing it. I just wrote it because I had a feeling to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when I sat down and talked to these guys about it, when I got done explaining the whole thing, they just were staring at me with their mouths open. They were like, and finally it was an awkward thing. It was like awkward 5 minutes, and they looked at me and they go, "Is this shit for real?" And I was like, I didn't know how to respond. I was like, yeah. And they were like, "What do you need to get the book done? We will give you anything you need. This is the deadline. Here it is."
Yeah.
So the biggest part about the book and what I allowed to affect me is probably the craziest shit is my dad. So my dad got in trouble. He had a business where he did leasing, equipment leasing, but he was like a Bernie Madoff, right? We never saw him. We were poor because he was robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Oh, for years he was doing this, right? And it caught up to him to where he faked his death. I got out one day, got in my car, and there was a tape. This is back when there was tape decks, right? Mm-hmm. So I got in my car and started up my car, and it was a suicide tape in my car playing.
Oh, shit.
Dad, he had put it in the car.
Yeah.
So when I got up and started the car, it's a tape, and he's saying, "Hey, by the time you hear this is what I did. This is what happened. By the time you hear this, it's too late. I'd rather be in God's jail than I would be a human jail. And by the time you hear this, and then he's gone, right? The FBI comes in, we lose literally everything in our house. So we go down to his office too. And here's the thing: he had fake law degrees, fake IDs, fake passports, but that was perfectly done. He had a law degree from the University of Utah. When we took it up to the U, they said, "Yeah, this is absolutely our law degree." That's how well done it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So and to this day, I still don't know the whole details of all the shit.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was wild and it was life-changing. I was in high school, man. I think I was a sophomore or junior. And my little brother, we were close and we just kind of stuck together. And it was, we thought he was dead for a long time until the FBI caught him. And then it was a huge trial. It was all over the news here. And then he went to prison in Las Vegas. And it's a pretty funny story because when he went to prison in Las Vegas, one of my best friends got busted for drug dealing that I grew up with, ended up going to the same prison. Same prison, man.
That's funny.
Yeah, funny.
You saw your pops?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They hung out and everything, man.
Okay.
My dad had already been there, kind of took him under his wing. And so it was just, and the book is detailed, but the stories in the book, it's amazing I'm alive. I'll tell you this right now. I mean, I've probably used all 9 lives.
Okay.
And probably God maybe gave me a 10th one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been through gunfights, fistfights, stabbed. You know what I mean? I've been in massive car accidents. You know what I mean? I've been through so many things. Rolled a 4-wheel, broke my back, couldn't walk for a long time. You know what I mean? Was told I was never going to walk and ended up walking again. And if you look at my Instagram, I kill that shit now. I don't even fucking care about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so I've been through a lot, and all that's in the book. All that's in the book. It's detailed, but where it comes, this roller coaster of life, because in that too, I created a business that I sold on the stock market. I created another business that I had 80 employees. There was a marketing floor that we were doing $12 million a year. I lost all of that, became addicted to drugs, lived on the streets for over a year, completely homeless.
Yeah.
Like, I've been through all of that shit, man.
Yeah.
Like almost anything you want to think of.
Mm.
In 45 years, it's crazy. It is truly amazing. I'm alive and I thank God for it every day, man.
How'd you get off the streets when you're homeless? How did you go from being homeless to actually getting back on your feet?
Went to prison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, everything changed in my life when I had that vision, that dream.
What is the craziest story that you can tell me that happened in prison? I know I've heard stories from other people as well, like cops. They'll tell me cops get killed in prison or whatnot occasionally, but what's the craziest thing you heard?
The most disturbing thing that I ever saw in prison, and it, like, I have nightmares about it, is that where I was in solitary confinement, I was the only one in my pod there, not for murder, and a lot of these guys were going to death row or were on trial to go to death row or life in prison or anything like that. So they would hold them in there and they'd go to trial still, right? And I remember a guy got sentenced to life in prison, but where you go up to meet your lawyer, to have meetings with your lawyer, is up the tier. So there's 2 levels. You got cells on the bottom, cells on the top. And at the top, you go into a room that you see, and we're shackled, right? So anytime you get left out of a maximum hold, solitary confinement, you're shackled. You got handcuffs on your wrist and your ankles.
Okay.
So they take him up the stairs, they get him in, he meets with this attorney. Well, obviously his attorney told him you're going to do life in prison or some shit, got bad news, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right in front of me, I remember walking in, he walks out from where he saw this thing and immediately tear dives. They call it tear diving. It happens a lot. But he jumped over the rail head first and boom. Probably 50 feet in the air onto a concrete floor, shackled.
Yeah.
Just exploded his head.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean,
how old was he?
I'll never forget the sound. He was probably in his 30s.
Damn. That's crazy, the mind space that you have to be in.
No, and you see it. There's no running from it.
Yeah.
You're there.
Yeah.
I've seen stabbings. Everything. But that, it's like, man, when you could take your life and seeing that and watching somebody just, you know what I mean? That's where I feel like I had divine intervention with that dream, man. You know what I mean? Because it made me think different, or I would have fucking done the same thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was there. I was on the verge of wanting to kill myself. Literally. I mean, I sat in there thinking of ways to kill myself a million times because you never think you can get out of there. I tell people, man, look at, you think you're such a tough guy, you think you could sit there, lock yourself in your fucking bathroom for 1 day. 1 day. See how batshit crazy you go. Try that for over a year. 23 hours a day, 23 and a half hours a day, sometimes 24 hours a day, because if they didn't have 2 people on staff, you weren't getting out at all. Not to shower, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 2 options. You either become mentally strong or you kill yourself. And I saw it many times over.
That's crazy, man. Mm-hmm. That's crazy when you left alone with your thoughts, who you can become.
You could either become great. Yeah. You could either become great, or you could hold yourself back. I mean, and that's where it's like so important to guide your thoughts in the right direction, is what I like to say. You know what I mean? Because it's not like people are like, oh, you could change. Not necessarily, you can't change your thoughts. That's not a real thing, right? Because your thoughts are your thoughts. They're going to come, whatever they are. It's about building upon the right thoughts, guiding the right thoughts towards your goals and your values. So it's like the awareness, like you said before, it's like the awareness is everything, man.
I want to know talk a little bit about relationships again.
Yeah.
You told me about your first marriage.
Yeah.
Tell me why didn't the relationship with your first baby mama, why didn't that work out?
Well, again, I take full accountability. I don't think it would have worked out either way. We were both kind of helpless.
Yeah.
But drugs were involved.
Okay.
I mean, I was in drugs. If I take a little bit of accountability, it got worse because I blamed the situation once you left. It wasn't that bad when we were first in there, but I think
like, what decisions did you make? I want to know, like, because a lot of guys are blaming women. That's like popular on the internet now. Women do this, women do that. Those videos get a lot of views.
Oh yeah.
But they don't really teach men how to basically like be accountable. What I'm wondering is, like, what kind of decisions did you make that you think led to a bad relationship?
That's a good one, man. You know what I mean? I think to start the whole thing off was fear of being alone, for one. I think I jumped into relationships way too fast because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this isn't their fault. You know what I mean? It was my fault. I didn't want to be alone. Even if I had an inkling that this relationship wasn't going to work. And to be honest, with my oldest daughter's mom, I knew it wasn't going to ever work. I had just got divorced from my wife, and it was like 6 months later, I'm jumping into this relationship. And I knew when I look back on it, I knew it wasn't going to ever work, but I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't know was how fucking shitty it was going to be, dude, at the end. You know what I mean? But it was like a risk reward. I knew that was possible. If I really take a step back and I look at it nowadays, I go, okay, I knew the risk reward. But being afraid of being alone and not having somebody and doing that because I dated somebody since I was 14 years old. All I knew was being in a relationship, and I was afraid not to have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I jumped into this relationship for all the fucking wrong reasons, dude. Even having a child. None of my kids are accidents. I tried to have both of them. We planned them.
Yeah.
Imagine that fucking shit.
It just happened too fast.
No, I just didn't. It was because, again, I was afraid, man. I was afraid of being alone. I was afraid of not having that. Even if it was the wrong companionship, I was afraid not to have the wrong companionship.
Yeah.
And when I look back nowadays, I knew that. Like a ding dong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, man, I knew that. And I don't do that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it doesn't make me happy, then I'm not going to do it.
I just read a quote that said that.
Yeah.
I think it said, if it makes you happy, then do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, that's not how it's supposed to be anyway. But and to be fair, you know what I mean? To take some accountability, I duped some of these relationships into that too, because they didn't know that. They didn't know I knew and had those feelings. I wasn't honest about it because I didn't want to lose them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, no matter how bad a relationship is, it's a two-part relationship, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is things that I could have done different too. There's things they could have done different. They didn't have to be such a bitch. I didn't have to be such a dick. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? It's like, ultimately, you control your own life. But man, I'm divorced from 2 babies' mamas. I mean, geez, I don't know if I'm like the
At least you
I'm not the poster boy of relationships, that's for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have learned a lot through those things.
That's the best way to learn. Is through relationships. That's the best way to grow up.
Yeah.
Is through your relationships. You know, I want to talk a little bit. Were you about to say something?
I was going to say, at the same time, it's given me the best blessings of my life. I love being a father.
Yeah.
And I have 2 daughters, the most beautiful daughters in the world, and they mean everything to me, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't take that away from them. I think different. You know what I mean? I'm not a blamer anymore. I don't blame anybody. There's only one person I can blame. It's me.
Because you create everything.
Yeah.
At some point, you fucked up at some point in line. If you're not happy, it's on you.
And I can't change it. You know what I mean? I can't change that. But, man, my daughters have their finger wrapped around me, but I love it, man. I love every part of it. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Man. You know what I mean?
You're going to be a grandfather someday, and you're going to have like a bunch of them around the house.
Wow.
You know,
man, I can wait for that, though.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I want to talk about boxing. So you have the welterweight champion, the welterweight champion in Utah, and you also coach the number 7 amateur. What weight class is Dylan?
Yeah, 139, but he's actually going pro now.
Okay, no more amateur fights.
He's going to probably have 1 or 2, but in April, he's probably going to go pro. So we'll have another pro. And Dylan is a beast, man.
I know he's a beast. I sparred him. It sucks.
Yeah,
but I like sparring Dylan because he'll make me go back and think about what I could have did better and then practice on that and then come back a little bit something.
Yeah.
Every week, try to come back with something. But Dylan keep me in shape, and I like John. I'm not ready for John, but John makes you think when you box him. That's the thing about John, like, because he get in your head with just his movement. He's like, what the hell?
I've never met a more talented, good person. You know what's great about John, man, and I love this guy, man.
Yeah.
I love this guy wholeheartedly, man. I'd do anything for him. You know what I mean? Anything for him. And not because of boxing.
Yeah.
Because of who he is. You know what I mean? Do I believe he's going to be a world champion? I've never believed something more strongly in my entire life, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably believe it more than him, and he believes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I believe it, man. We put in a lot of hours of work. You know, we train hard. I've been with him his whole entire pro career, and I'm fortunate for it that he even gives me that ability to do that. You know what I mean? John's so talented, he can work with anybody he wants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
He can pick and choose anybody he wants.
Yeah.
But and he's helped me out a lot too, man. So I mean, it's just being able to have that relationship's great. And I want it real bad for him. And I know he'll do great things. I feel it in my soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so helpful. You see him, he helps everybody. You know what I mean? He can be real critical sometimes, but he's
just a fighter.
Yeah.
When you get in that fighter mindset, he a good person, but there's always gonna be a level of aggression. You know what I'm saying? And John definitely is a beast. You know, I was telling you 2 weeks ago, I was like, Coach, I feel like my old self is coming back. And he was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I could feel it. Like I could feel like I'm getting more smooth. I'm moving better. I got my feet back. And I was just like, I feel like how I felt when I was like competing in football and when I was like in a negative headspace. Yeah. Because I was like, man, I feel like I'm becoming like a monster again. You know, and I'm getting there. And then
well, I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell because I'm the one that trains there. Yeah, I can feel it. You know what I mean? I feel it. But back to John. You know, John's 6-0 as a professional. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He did that in 1 year, which is impressive. Yeah. You know what I mean? 6-0 in 1 year. Dylan's right behind him. He's paving the way for Dylan. He's paving the way for everybody in the gym. So, I mean, I love what we have at the gym, and I'm not sure I can take, you know, the utmost credit for it, but it's true. There is a family vibe in that gym. Everybody does want to see people work together. We go everywhere.
It's from you.
Yeah.
It's because of you. It's because you want everybody to win.
Yeah.
And you positive. I've been in gyms where where it wasn't positive at the top, it was negative, and you can see people leave the gym, people screw each other over, or they're just out for themselves. We don't have that culture at the gym, so we naturally attract those types of people. Or if you're not like that, you naturally, over time, you become like that. You know?
Well, you know what's crazy to me is that, you know, I've been through so much, and so many people that tried to take advantage of me and fucking abuse me and do shit as a kid. You know, I had somebody in prison, going back to prison a little bit, that said to me, they said, look, man, you're always talking about what you know. You know what I mean? Like, I know this, this is what you know, I did it. He's like, let me tell you something, you know, Buck. And this is what he told me. He was an older guy. And he goes, and I say this on my Instagram all the time. He goes, let me tell you something that you need to learn. He goes, no one gives a fuck about how much you know until they know how much you care. Mm-hmm. No one gives a fuck how smart you are, how much knowledge you have, how much money you have, until they know how much you fucking care. And from the streets, from the hood, from the, you know, that side of it, the troubled youth, that is so fucking real.
Mm. You know, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
When I told you that most of my teachers after 4th grade, they just thought I was stupid.
Yeah.
And then I had one teacher, Miss Dill, when I was in high school, that really went out of her way to really help me. You know what I'm saying? And she made me go home and read those books like 2 or 3 times over just to get like a B or a C because I knew she cared.
Yeah.
Even though she was hard on me, she would piss me off. She really cared about me. A lot of those other teachers didn't. Yeah. And it made me want to work harder and become smarter.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's great about coaching and really caring about people is like, man, you know, I feel like I get to teach people and I'm really mentally strong. I want to help keep people with the way they think, you know what I mean? Ultimately, because your skill is your skill, but with belief behind that skill, man, it's unstoppable, right? So to have the belief behind the skill and the hard work that goes with it, you're going to do things that you don't even know you could do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It will happen, and it will happen effortless, man, with true belief. It's not like you're going to have to fucking try, dude, because you believe you're going to do it. It all starts with the thought. It all starts with your mindset. It all starts with that. And so I'm so fortunate to do what I do, man, to train people like John, yourself, Dylan, all the kids in the gym, man, because I love them all the same. You know what I mean? And I would do anything for them. In fact, I have. People call me at 2 a.m, flat tires. Man, I've been all over the place, but hospitals, wrecks, you know what I mean? You were there. Hospital too. So it's like, but at the same time, I'm not ignorant to the fact that they have taught me a lot, man.
Okay, I feel
I'm learning too, man.
What have they taught you?
You know, compassion. You know what I mean? They've taught me, they've reassured what I believe is real because they're going through it. And I get to see myself back at 17 years old. I get to see myself back at 15 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like a preview of my life. You know what I mean? It's like, and I can help them because I feel it. I feel it, man. You know what I mean? I feel it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and I get to experience stuff, man. I get to go to other states and do tournaments. I get to watch a professional boxer like John Bryant that's gonna become a world champion. I get to be a part of it. I get to be a part of it. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful for every single person in that gym. I'm grateful for John. Me and John have a really close relationship, and I take a bullet for that kid, man. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about John. Who's he fighting next? Tell me about his next fights.
So he has a huge fight coming up February 16th in Seattle, Washington. And that's February 16th, a big show, big fight. I can't, in fact, this sounds so bad, I don't even remember the guy's name. But it's in his hometown. John's actually from Washington. Okay. So he has a lot of support out there and a lot of things. But
this is a big fight.
So he's fighting for a huge promoter, though. This guy is the biggest promoter in probably all of boxing worldwide. Okay. So this is his shot, man. This is his shot, and he knows it. John knows it. John's clear-minded. His goals, he knows what he needs to do, man. Okay. And I'm just here to remind him 100 times a day. And I do. If you ask John, probably like, man, this guy, he texts me every day, man. It's like, man, I'm probably so annoying to him, but man, I want it for him.
You need it.
Yeah, I want it for him, man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm sure John's strong alone, but it's nice when you got a team that's up there to push you when you're slipping. You feel me?
Well, and that goes for me too, because I get frustrated. You know what I mean? I've gotten frustrated in the gym. You know what I mean? And sometimes these guys will, even Dylan stopped me. Dylan's been like, Coach, man, come on, man. You know what I mean? John's been like, come on, think about it a little bit. You know what I mean? I've had to be real back a little bit. I got a temper. Hey, man, I still got that in me. Yeah. It hasn't gone away. It's still there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've just learned how to live with it. You know what I mean? A little bit differently. Yeah. But it's still there, and I need to be reminded too. And that's what's great about our gym, man. Everybody, we remind each other. Yeah. And I'm not excluded just because I'm a coach. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you told me that, because like where my mind goes and how I've been coming, I can feel myself become more aggressive. But like you told me, everybody's dealing with that shit, man. Yeah. You feel me? Yeah. Jahi Tucker. Yeah. What was that all about? I saw the beef that John was having with Jahi on Instagram. Are they ever going to fight? Like, why are they even beefing in the first place?
Well, because what happened was we got offered that fight to fight Jahi Tucker, and we took the fight. I even have the emails right now. I was like, okay, so we were going to take the fight. We got offered the fight first, everything, right? And then they came back and said, well, he has a choice between 3 guys, and they didn't choose you. You know what I mean? So this is what we were told, right? And then Jahi got online and was talking shit about, like, we never even had a fight off of, which is bullshit. We have it. I have all the proof in the world if anybody wants to see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But here's the real fact. Jahi Tucker's scared to fight John because he'll whoop his ass.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. He'll whoop his ass, and they know it.
Yeah. That's why they didn't choose him.
Yeah. Yeah. John will beat all these guys, man. Look, I've been in the fight game my entire life. I'm 45 years old, man. I've seen everybody. You know what I mean? I've watched. I've trained with the best of them. Dude, the guy has more talent in his left hand than half of these guys out there. Man. Yeah. You know what I mean? He just needs a shot. And these guys run it, and they know it. Like Jahi Tucker.
I seen Jahi's highlights, and I wasn't impressed, man. He all he does is slap box. You know what I'm saying? He moves a lot. He throws a lot of punches, but it ain't shit. It ain't boxing. You feel me?
And he's a big name. You know, not to take it away. He's signed with Top Rank. You know, he's 9-0, but it's like, you know what I mean? He ain't not John's level.
He ain't, nothing special.
And to be fair, you know what I mean? To be fair to him, he might not have a ton of control over that. You know what I mean? It's like me as a coach. I've turned down fights that we had with John too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like John's second pro fight, we were offered a fight with Trayvon Marshall, PBC, and they offered a lot of money. And I turned it down because it was only a second fight. I was like, nah, we're not ready for that, dude. You know what I mean? We're trying to build our record. And John wanted to take the fight.
I know he would have took the fight.
You know, he wanted it. Dude. Yeah. He wanted. In fact, he might have been a little bit bad about it, but I still stand behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're here to build a record. I'm here to build a business, a life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not just boxing. It's a retirement.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it on the pro level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're not careful on what you're doing, you're going to fuck it all up and you're going to have nothing and you're going to work at a grocery store, dude. You know what I mean?
see.
And so with Jahi talking all that shit, that's the problem. He talking all the shit. But I see it. I understand. I understand at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to fight John.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to fight John.
I wouldn't want to fight John.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to fight John, man.
It's crazy. I don't want to talk too much about John's ability. I don't want to give nothing away, man. But it's like he can hit you so hard from just like an inch away. You're like, how the fuck you hit me so hard?
I'll tell you, this guy has such a uniqueness about him, man. Okay, and I love John for this, man, because he's so motivating, even if he kicks your ass. Okay, like I've never seen this. It's a real talent that he got, man, and it's fucking awesome, man. I love it about him because I've watched John get in sparring with fucking top level guys, right? Beat the living shit out of them, and then when they're done, make them their best friend. And give them the assurance that they can be the best in the world and they believe it. After getting the shit kicked out of them for 8 rounds in the ring. He has the unique ability to be able to do that, man.
I honestly believe that I honestly believe you can't become great unless you have great competition.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not fighting bums, sparring against bums, it does nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? I've lost 3 amateur fights. And I lost my fights not because I don't want to say the people I was sparring against were bums, but it was because they were small. They weren't really. There was nobody my size.
Hey, you didn't lose the one with me.
Yeah, I was ready, man. I was a little honestly. I was cocky. I was cocky because I had natural ability. I thought I could just do anything. So I thought that I didn't have respect for the sport.
Well, you know what? Sometimes there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's respect for the sport and there's respect for yourself. But it's like, this is what I remind John about all the time. I'm like, hey, look, God gave you the talent, bro. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it that you could be a world champion, okay? But you're not just going to become a world champion.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? It's like some people, talent can almost be a fucking negative thing a lot of times because talent will hold you back from working hard. Talent will have you talking to 10 different chicks. Talent will have you not run one day because you feel like you don't need to run one day. Or talent, it can do that. Not always, right? So I'm constantly reminding this guy. I'm like, dude, why do you think 1% of America are billionaires, dude? Right? Because billionaires do what billionaires fucking do, right? Why do you think there's very few world champions? Very few world champions. Very few Kobe Bryants, Michael Jordans, Walter Paytons. Very few of these guys. You know why? Because they fucking are obsessed with becoming that person. That is what their life is. They don't have time to text 10 different fucking stupid girls online, dude. Okay? They're trying to be somebody. They want to be a billionaire. Everything in their life's about being a billionaire until they get there. Then they can talk to 10 different chicks. Then they can do that stuff. So if you think you're such a good boxer, you're such a good businessman, and you could do all this shit on the side, you're not going to fucking make it.
You're kidding yourself.
Yeah, you're fucking lying to yourself. And here's the worst part. You know you're lying to yourself. It goes back to what I said. Stop doing the shit that you know is wrong.
Coach, this is what I don't like. There's people who reach out to me on social media, talking about what they're going to do. They ask me advice about podcasting, all this shit. It's happened a few times. And I just think to myself, why the fuck is you talking to me about this? If you was really serious about it, you would have already started doing it.
Yeah.
It didn't take me that long to start a podcast. I thought about it a month or two later. It took me a month to get everything together, but like a month or two, it was there. Yeah. I had already started working on it the first day I started thinking about it. But there's people who are like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I can tell when you're not going to do it. I can tell when you're serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just some people, they just get, I don't know what it is, man, but some people it's like their minds, they just can't focus or they insecure about something or what.
Well, here's the thing that I figured out with myself, and I believe this to be true about a lot of people, but for sure for me it was like that, is that I fed into the lies I told myself. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you lie to on the outside, dude. If I lie to you, so be it, to lie to you. But the lies I say to myself are the most important lies. You know what I mean? So, like, if I'm telling myself, well, you know what, I'm a little sore. I worked out hard today. I don't need to run, but I'm going to be a world champion. I'm a professional at whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'm convincing myself and lying to myself that I don't need to run tonight, that I don't need to, finish that, IPO for the company. If I don't need to fucking finish editing a video for my podcast, I can do it tomorrow. You're fucking losing. You know what I mean? You're fucking losing. You're lying to yourself and you're believing the lies to yourself and you're feeding into your own excuses, man. Life's about the war between your ears. It's about what you believe for yourself. If you're going to live to your excuses, then you're going to fucking live in your excuses forever. If you're going to quit once, you're going to quit many, many other times, man. You know what I mean? You're either going to fucking do it, no matter what kind of fire you got to walk through, or you're going to make excuses for the rest of your life.
I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like shit. It's like, I get so tired of it. Man, I'm the fucking best. I can fucking do this shit. But then I'm texting 3 girls and I don't want to do that. I'm going to eat. I'm going to rest tonight because I'm fucking sore. Fuck your soreness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck your little bitch made shit. You ain't trying to make it. If you were, you'd be obsessed. It would be everything.
Yeah.
You don't want $30 million for one fight. If you did, that would be everything. You would get it. Instead, you want to eat and go to a movie and fucking do this shit. You ain't getting it doing that dumb shit. Stop lying to yourself that you are going to still get it doing that dumb shit. Be realistic with yourself, man. If there's any advice I could give people, it's like, hey, be aware of the excuses you're giving yourself and fucking stop it. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
It's like, shit, it fucking drives me crazy. Boy, I'm like, God, man, it's like, oh, man, I'm going to get it. Yes, I worked out real hard. And I'm like, okay, I think you're going to do it. And then you go to a movie and you're talking to 10 different girls. Fuck, man.
Women is the biggest distraction. Well, really, women aren't the distraction. I guess you are the distraction.
Yeah.
You just blame women for being that.
Blame women, blame injury, blame fucking whatever it is, dude. You know
I had a guy that's actually in our gym. You probably already know who he is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say his name. But I'll have to tell my story. So growing up, I had a cousin that was like the star of the family. He was like one of the best top ranked basketball players in our section. And then he used to have women from all over come and pick him up, drop him off, pick him up. I was like, damn, I was real young, man. I was like 8. And I looked up to him and he ended up not making it to NBA. He didn't go to college. He didn't finish his last year. I remember asking my grandmother, I was like, hey, Granny, why didn't such and such make it to the NBA? And she told me because he said because of women and he didn't focus on school. And that stuck with me because I admired this person. I love him.
Yeah.
And me pursuing my athletic goals, when I was at the U, I've dated, but I promise you, I never got caught up in those football parties dealing with those football thotties, those girls. I never got caught up with those girls. And it was because I saw how it took down somebody that I admired and loved. And I had somebody on our team reach out to me and it was telling me like, hey man, I really like this girl. And John was there, Dylan was there, you weren't there this day. Yeah. And the person he came to, he was talking about a girl that he really liked. He's like, I really like this one. And I already knew that this person had a few of them. Yeah. And I just got so annoyed with what he was saying. And I was like, man, fuck these women, man. I was like, look, you tell me about a girl that you in love with that you ain't invested no time with. She ain't invested no time into you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? How you going to say that this woman is going to be the one for you and you don't know nothing about her, man? Yeah. I said, really what you need to do, you need to come in here and be ready to work and focus on the shit that we doing here. Because that's only going to throw you off from what we doing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I've heard plenty of people in the gym say the same thing to this person because he got the talent, but it's just, You got to be able to commit to what you want to do. If you're really going to do something, because you're going to get hurt, especially in boxing, if you're not committed, if you can't commit to it. I see a lot of fighters take a loss. I've seen this in the professional world.
Yeah.
Fighters will be undefeated. I'll use Adrian Bronner. Adrian Bronner is a good fighter.
Yeah.
He has a lot of good skill. But once he had that loss against Maidana, he's never been the same. It's in his head. He became an alcoholic. I can tell, man. I know when somebody's drinking a lot of alcohol, man. And some people, they just don't know how to. It's like they don't know how to refocus. They don't become better after those types of experiences, and they don't know how to really focus their thinking on what's the most important at that moment.
Well, and that's why I'm such a proponent of like what I've been talking about this whole time, man, is that stop being ignorant to the fact that your thoughts create everything. Here's how you break it down. Everything starts with the thought. That thought creates emotion. Emotion creates action. Okay, and it's the facts. I don't give a fuck how you want to spin it or anything else. Everything starts from a thought. Everything you do starts from a thought. That thought creates an emotion. The emotion is what creates the action, right? And it's fucking true, dude. It doesn't matter what it is. And until you start mastering that at a little level, what the fuck do you think it's going to happen at a big level, dude? You're going to get distracted like Adrian Bronner, become an alcoholic. Fucking many other people, dude. There's so many people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
I mean, look at, dude, I would hate to have the talent, okay, and fucking know that I could have been a billionaire.
It happened with Tyson.
And be fucking 70 years old, sitting on a fucking porch telling some kid that I used to do this. I could have been this. I could have been this. Man, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Fuck that guy. Don't be a used to, could have. Yeah. You know what I mean? Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
You only got one life. It goes by fast, man.
Those are the biggest haters, too.
Oh,
the people who had talent that could have did something, they see you doing something.
Oh, yeah. They're the biggest haters.
They're the biggest ones because they know that they know that they could do it, but they're not doing something right.
Yeah, but I love fucking haters, man. I got a whole lot of them.
You love haters.
Yes, you know why? Because it's like they're paying attention, man. I love that shit. I'm like, man, hey, the more haters, that means they're watching. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit, I must be doing something right because you hate motherfucker.
I told somebody that on my YouTube. Dude, somebody was trying to annoy me. He was like, oh, this is a stupid video. And I was like, oh yeah, but it's all good, man. Thanks for watching. He's like, nah, he said it just came up on my feed and I just watched. I was like, well, check this out, man. You're watching my video. You're commenting. So that's helping my algorithm. So thank you for being here. And then he just stopped after that. You know what I'm saying? But it's the truth. Yeah. The haters, they're your biggest supporters because they help you grow. Yeah. They're not even aware of it.
Yeah. And I don't really care. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, I've had people hate me since I was fucking born in this world. You know what I mean? I'm used to that shit. It's like, and it really doesn't affect me anymore. It doesn't hurt my feelings, dude. First of all, I don't think I'm the best at anything. So it doesn't matter if you're hating on me. You might be partially right. So be it. Do you think what here's the thing, man. I'm so strong in what I want to do and who I am. Like truly, I'm so strong in the values of who I am that your opinion of me truly does not fucking matter. You know what I mean? Even the people closest to me.
Yeah. That's because you got strong, coach.
Even my daughter.
Yeah.
Who means everything to me.
Yeah.
But I believe in my values. I believe in me, and I know she sees that too. My youngest daughter, my 8-year-old Harper, man. Shout out to Harper, man. She's the fucking best, man. We have such a close relationship. She's a part of my heart. It's like everything. I've learned a lot. Listen, you have a little baby girl, man. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, it's going to change your life, man. It's the best thing ever.
It's a different type of love.
Oh, it's a different type of love.
Yeah.
You know, it's a love, man, that you know what I mean? You value it a lot, man.
Yeah.
And I took it for granted with my oldest daughter. I took a lot of things for granted. I've learned a lot of lessons, man. A lot of lessons.
Any closing statements, Coach? I mean, you said so much good shit. I wanted to let you just keep talking.
Oh, God, man, I probably talked too much. I was all over the place. But, you know, a closing statement is that I hope I can change lives, man. That I hope that people can try to understand what I say about thinking and thoughts in your brain and how it works, man, and you know, changing your subconscious mind. That's really my hope, is that I can change millions of people's lives, man. That's really what I want to do. That's really my passion. That's what I want to do. I know it works because it changed my life. And so hopefully I can get some people that were, I was this close to dying many, many times, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the darkness, man. And now the darkness doesn't come, man. It's 24-hour life for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's different. But also, I want to thank, you for sure for having me on. And a lot of people don't know we're on a podcast right now, but we talk like this all the time. You know what I mean? And I really enjoy it because when I talk with somebody that's passionate about something, it just builds the fire of passion within me even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you for having me on. And really, I'd love to, I want to thank the people at the gym. I want to thank John for allowing me to be a coach, Dylan, all the people in the gym, for allowing me to coach them and give them my theories. And I appreciate them listening. And, hopefully I can make a difference, man.
You're making a difference, Coach.
Yeah.
I introduced you as my coach and my mentor for a reason.
Thank you, man.
All right, so Coach, thank you for being here. And I guess I'll see you at practice.
Hell yeah.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Peace.
Thank you.